The auctioneer's gavel stops mid-air. 9,014 on a Tuesday. Lot 47. 1 box of a dead man's belongings. 3 minimum bid. Cato Vale lifts the lid. Under a stopped watch and a stack of unpaid invoices, a cheap paperback, spine cracked white. The woman beside him reads the cover. Stoicism. $40 new. He died, broke, still owning it. Cato turns to the first page. 1 line underlined in pencil, pressed hard enough to tear. They took his house, she says, his firm, his name off every door. His thumb stops in the margin. A phone number, handwritten, fresh ink. His daughter's number. He kept trying to reach someone, she says. Cato does not look up from the digits. I know, he answers. The gavel comes down. The box is already his. The coffee went cold at 7:52 that morning. A man reads an email twice. His hands do not move. The subject line holds 31 years of his life and ends them in 2 sentences. Severance, effective immediately, a building he built reduced to a badge that no longer opens the door. He walked through 11,000 times. He sets the phone face down. The mortgage does not care. The numbers arrive faster than grief. A mortgage of $2,019.90 a month. A daughter's tuition due in 19 days. A retirement account that just became a 14-month runway. His chest tightens before his mind can name the threat, the body filing the bankruptcy first. The phone buzzes with a number he stopped answering years ago. He lets it ring. Silence costs more than money. Cato Vale signed this kind of letter 1,000 times. He liquidated companies for 31 years. He knows the weight of a final invoice. Then at 54, the firm he owned, the house he slept in, and the child who called every Sunday all vanished the same quarter, and he learned the ledger reads identical from the other side. He is no philosopher. He counted ruin for a living. Open any airport bookstore. The founder of this discipline stares from no cover. The man who built it owned nothing, not even his own legs. Epictetus arrived around 50 AD as another household's property, a body listed in an inventory beside the furniture, and the philosophy now priced at $40 began in a ledger where he himself was the asset. Power wrote nothing. The owned man wrote it all. Hierapolis traded hot springs and human beings in equal measure. A boy is bought there named and lamed. One account says a master twisted the leg until bone gave. Epictetus reportedly named the break before it happened, telling the owner the leg would snap, and when it did he said only, "There, I told you," as if reporting the weather. The body was never the argument. The limp stayed 70 years. Every step after was a receipt for what an owner could do to flesh. He never hid it. He treated the ruined leg as weather already past, a fact to be carried rather than a debt to be collected from a world that would never pay it back. Carry the wound. Refuse the invoice of blame. His name is not a name. Epiktetos is Greek for acquired, gained, purchased. History kept no birth name, only the label a buyer stamped on a thing he owned. He answered to that word for decades, then built the one asset no buyer could itemize, and what he did with it would later become the bedside reading of an emperor. The label was theirs. The mind underneath never was. Cato kept 1 column for severance, 1 for yachts. For 31 years they never balanced. He watched 9,200 jobs erased in rooms where the men who caused it negotiated their own bonuses across the same polished table. The rigged math was never hidden. It was printed, initialed, filed under restructuring, while families learned the word insolvent from a letter. The system was not broken. It worked exactly as designed. The pen hovered 3 inches above the signature line. The ink at its tip held the payroll of 1,100 strangers. For 6 seconds, the only sound was the air handler and the slow arithmetic of a conscience being overruled. Cato signed. The number became a fact, and a fact he had learned feels nothing about the hand that writes it. Some signatures audit the man who signs them. List what a creditor can seize: the house, the car, the wage, the title on the door. Add the body itself, in Epictetus's century, sold and resold like grain. The inventory of what others can take is long, precise, and legally enforceable, yet every catalogue ever written stops at the same locked door. It can never inventory. They can repossess the asset. They cannot repossess the assessment. A Roman slave wore the chain on the wrist. You wear yours on the statement. The auto-pay, the 30-year note, the fear of a manager's frown. Modern bondage rarely leaves a mark on the skin. It bills monthly, compounds quietly, and convinces the debtor he chose every link himself, which is the only chain that needs no lock. Name the chain you can see. Stop calling it freedom. The amygdala fires in 12 milliseconds. Long before thought, the body already flinched, obeyed, surrendered. This is the chain no master forged, bolted inside the skull by evolution, tightened daily by every notification. Epictetus had no word for neurons, yet he mapped the same gap, the narrow space between the impression that strikes and the judgment a person chooses to stamp. The reflex is automatic. The verdict is not. A former slave's notes outlived the empire that bought him. Senators and one future emperor copied the lectures of a man their laws ranked below livestock. The irony was structural. Those who owned everything took freedom's instruction from the one person who had legally owned nothing. And the journal that emperor wrote at midnight changes how this whole story ends. Borrowed wisdom keeps no class. It answers only to use. Most men die having paid rent on a freedom they already owned. They spend 40 years outsourcing their verdict to bosses, markets, and the opinions of people who forgot them by lunch. The cost of never learning the boundary is a whole life lived as collateral, mortgaged to events that were never theirs to control. Audit what you actually own. Most of your panic is rented. Epictetus said it plainly to students who could be flogged. Your master owns your leg. He does not own your will. A man can be chained, exiled, sold, and still refuse to hand over the one verdict that gives the chain meaning, because the lock only works on a mind that agrees to call itself imprisoned. They held the key to his body. He kept the key to his consent. Take a blank page. Draw one line down the middle. Left column, everything the world can touch. Right column, your judgment, your effort, your chosen response, and nothing else fits there. No matter how hard fear tries to smuggle the mortgage and the diagnosis across the line. Most suffering is a filing error. People grieve in the wrong column. Sort the page first. Here is the seizable column, itemized without mercy. Your salary, ended by a memo. Your reputation, rewritten by a rumor. Your body, your years, your rented standing in rooms that will replace you before the chair cools, all of it borrowed, all of it recallable on terms you never signed and cannot renegotiate. Inventory the losable. You will find it was never the core. Now the column no memo reaches. Whether you call the layoff a verdict or a weather event, whether you meet the rumor with panic or with silence, the meaning you assign, the next action you take, the posture you hold at 3AA. Miss, facing the ceiling, these stay yours unless you personally hand them over. No one can think your thought for you. That refusal is the whole estate. Cato keeps a dead phone. He charges it once a month for one reason. One missed call sits there, dated 4 years back, 11,046 PE. M, his daughter's name above it. He never pressed return. Pride filed the call in the wrong column and called it strength. And what he finally did about that number comes later. Some calls you cannot unmiss. You still choose what they teach. The most powerful man on earth wrote notes he never meant to publish. Marcus Aurelius ruled 120 million and still lectured himself at midnight like a junior auditor failing review. His meditations are not commands to others. They are a man auditing his own mind, reminding the emperor the purple robe controlled armies. Never the next thought, he would think. Power widened his options. It never widened his control. Two men who never met reached the same verdict. One wore purple and commanded legions. One wore a slave's tunic and owned a clay lamp. Across 80 years and an unbridgeable gulf of status, the emperor and the property arrived at the identical conclusion that the only sovereign territory a person holds is the half-inch behind the eyes. Agreement across that gap is not coincidence. It is evidence. Then the cracks show, and they are human. Seneca preached indifference to wealth while lending at brutal interest. He wrote on life's shortness from inside Nero's court. Epictetus, who owned nothing, could afford a purity the rich man never could, and the contradiction does not kill the doctrine, it proves men wrote it, not statues, men who failed it and kept writing anyway. Flawed messengers still carry true maps. Cato found the book in Lot 19, a sealed box from a foreclosed home. Between a tax binder and a faded drawing sat Meditations 4 at the estate sale. He read it that night like a balance sheet, hunting the lie. He found none, only a dead emperor describing Cato's collapse, 19 centuries early, line by line, like an audit he had dodged for decades. The cheapest book repriced everything. The auditor finally became the audited. Cato ran the two columns on his own ruin. The firm, the house, the market timing, all left column, none his to command. But the silence toward his daughter sat stubbornly on the right, a choice he had filed as fate to dodge it, and the honest entry cost more than the bankruptcy. The hardest audit carries your name on every line. A verdict needs no countersignature. The one document no creditor, judge, or estranged child can co-sign is the meaning a man assigns his own life. Others set the events, the losses, the timing, but the final stamp of significance is signed alone, by a hand no one else can guide, and surrendering that pen is the only true bankruptcy. Stop waiting for permission to decide what your loss means. Walk the self-help shelf today. Epictetus sells in a 40 hardcover with lettering he could never afford. The discipline, a lamed slave taught free to other slaves, is now a premium product, packaged for executives who skim 4 pages mid-flight and feel briefly unbreakable. The market found it and did what markets do, priced it, branded it, sold the cage back as the key. The price tag is the first betrayal. Corporations discovered the philosophy. Resilience seminars now teach staff to accept what cannot be changed, the layoffs, the unpaid overtime, the frozen wage. A doctrine built to free a slave's mind gets repurposed to keep modern ones quieter, more compliant, grateful for less. The same words that freed Epictetus are weaponized to keep workers from asking who profits from their endurance. Discipline aimed at the wrong target becomes a leash. Cato knew a prison librarian once, 22 years on the job. She watched 1,000 men discover this same paperback behind bars and call themselves finally free inside. She never mocked them. She noted with flat tenderness that the book teaching inner freedom was written by a man, the law caged first, and most readers missed who really sent it. Some truths only reach you after the door locks. Here, the doctrine fails. Cato names it. A man he mentored read these same pages and turned to stone. He called his wife's illness an external, beyond his control, and stopped visiting the hospital to practice detachment. She recovered. The marriage did not, because he mistook the dichotomy for a permit to abandon the one thing still inside his control, his own conduct. Wisdom misread becomes a sophisticated excuse. Detachment and deadness wear the same coat. The man told himself he had reached tranquility, he had reached anesthesia. True Stoic calm still feels the loss fully, then acts rightly anyway. The counterfeit amputates the feeling and calls numbness growth. Epictetus never taught a man to stop loving his wife, only to stop demanding the universe guarantee her safety. Feel the loss completely, then do the right thing anyway. The phrase becomes a hiding place. It's not in my control, repeated, until it excuses every call unreturned, every hard talk skipped, every duty dressed as serenity. Cato used it 4 years on one phone number. The dichotomy is precise here. Your effort and your kindness are always in your control. Never exile them to the convenient column. A tool that excuses everything has been flipped upside down. Cato is not above the failure he diagnoses. He used the same alibi on his own daughter. After the divorce, he labeled her distance an external, beyond reach, and let 4 years pass without dialing, mistaking abandonment for acceptance, grief for wisdom. What finally cracked that lie open arrives in the next minutes, and it was not a quote. The teacher of the lesson is usually its slowest student. He charged the old phone at 11,009 one night. The screen woke. The missed call from 4 years back still glowed. 11,046 p.m. Her name unchanged. For 6 long seconds his thumb hovered over the callback, the room silent, but for the refrigerator's hum and the slow weight of a column being resorted. He did not press it that night. Some doors you must earn the courage to open. The slave never preached withdrawal from the world. Epictetus ran a school, took in the poor, scolded students who used it to dodge their duties. His freedom was for engagement, not escape. A clear mind exists to act well, not to skip acting. The acquired man taught that you free the inside precisely to do the hard right thing outside. Inner freedom is fuel, not an exit. Consider how engineers handle force. A rigid wall resists load until it cracks all at once. A spine bends, distributes, and carries weight precisely because it flexes. The numb man built a wall and mistook it for strength. Real Stoic resilience is spinal. It feels the full load, bends without snapping, and stays upright through the storm instead of denying it. Build a spine, not a wall. Watch the before and after, not the slogan. Before, the numb man kept his calm and lost his marriage. Before, Cato kept his pride and lost 4 years. The proof of any framework is not how serene it sounds, but whether it returns you to the people you were avoiding, repaired, and ready to act. Measure your philosophy by what it makes you do, not what it lets you skip. Close the book. The wisdom is worthless as decoration. Epictetus left no theory to admire, only drills to run, the way a slave rehearses freedom before he is ever granted it. What follows is not inspiration. It is a protocol, a set of repeatable exercises. A man under pressure can actually execute at 6 a.m. before the world starts billing him. Stop reading about freedom. Start practicing it daily. Before the phone lights up, take 90 seconds. Name out loud 3 things today that are not yours, other people's moods, the market, the verdict of strangers. Then name 1 thing that is your next action. This is not positive thinking. It is triage before the day's chaos floods in, sorting the controllable from the noise while the mind is still quiet. Run the audit before the inbox runs you. A liquidator never gets surprised. He models the collapse first. Each evening, spend 4 minutes rehearsing one loss. The job ends, the diagnosis comes, the call never returns. Sit in it without flinching, then note what stays yours afterward, your conduct, your meaning. Epictetus taught preparing the mind before the blow, and what Cato rehearsed this way reshaped one phone call ahead. Pre-grieve the loss, and it cannot ambush you. Between the insult and the reaction sits a gap. Most never enter it. They fire back in 12 milliseconds, owned by reflex. The drill: widen that gap by 1 breath, then 1 more, until a choice fits. Epictetus called this the space where a free man lives, the half second when an impression knocks and you decide to sign or not. Own the pause. It is the only ground they cannot take. Take a pen and a single page. Write every possession that could vanish tomorrow: the income, the title, the house, the standing. Read the list aloud until the words stop frightening you. Epictetus rehearsed exactly this, naming the losable so its shadow loses power. A threat stared down in daylight cannot run the night. List what they can take. Watch the fear shrink to its real size. Zoom out the way an auditor reads a century, not a quarter. Your crisis is one line in a ledger, 200,000 years long. The species survived ice, plague, and empires that thought themselves eternal, and the panic owning your chest tonight will not survive the simple arithmetic of scale. Shrink the crisis against the calendar. Most emergencies are smaller than they shout once you measure them honestly. At 7:14 on a Sunday, Cato pressed the number. 3 rings. A voice unheard for 4 years answered, wary, older. He did not perform serenity or, quote, a dead emperor. He said the only true sentence he had, I was wrong, and I missed every one of these years. The line went quiet. Then she breathed, and a column filed under fate finally moved. Apology is always in your control. Freedom is built in small refusals, not grand gestures. Decline the argument that wants your whole evening. Skip the outrage the feed sells by the hour. Each minor no is a rep in the gym of the will, training the muscle that one day refuses the larger surrenders, bitterness, revenge, the comfortable lie. Temperance is not denial. It is choosing what gets access to you. Guard the small gates first. Some nights, the practice collapses. The grief arrives too fast. The drill forgotten. The old reflex wins. Cato still has those nights at 63. The honest protocol is not perfection. It is the return, the quiet act of opening the page again the morning after you failed, without the self-contempt that pretends one bad night erases the work. Fail the practice, then return to it. The returning is the practice. Remember the man who owned nothing. Epictetus never sold a hardcover, never ran a seminar, never trademarked a word. He left a manual any prisoner, any bankrupt, any broken man could use for free, written by someone the law ranked below cattle. The most valuable freedom manual ever recorded came with no price, because its author had been priced once and refused to be again. You already own the means. The drills are simple enough to start tonight. The morning audit, the evening rehearsal, the widened pause, the small refusals, the named losses, the call you keep avoiding. None require money, a teacher, or permission. A slave assembled this kit in a cell with no key. No circumstance you face disqualifies you from it. The toolkit is yours now. The only question left is whether you pick it up. Cato closes the notebook at 9 p. Meow. The numbers are still bad. The house is still gone. The years still lost. The firm still a name on a dissolved certificate. None of it improved, yet the man holding the pen has, because he stopped auditing the world and started auditing the only account that was ever his. Nothing was fixed. Everything was reclaimed. That distinction outlives every balance sheet. Hierapolis is ruins now, the slave market dust. The master who broke the leg is a name no one recorded. The empire that ranked Epictetus below livestock fell. Its borders erased, its coins in glass cases. What survived is the one thing they never confiscated, the lectures of a lame man who decided his judgment was the single property no inventory could list. Empires expire. A free verdict does not. The repaired phone sits face down now. The calls are weekly, awkward, real. Some scars do not vanish. 4 lost years stay lost. Her trust returns in increments, not all at once. Cato never pretends the practice undid the damage. It let him stop adding to it, and showed him dignity is not avoiding the fall, but what a man does after he lands. Mend what you still can reach. Strip a life down to what cannot be taken. The accounts empty, the titles dissolve. The body itself is a lease that always ends. One holding stays unrepossessable. The verdict you pass on your life, The meaning you mint in private, the thought no court, creditor, or captor can reach. Epictetus found it in chains. You can find it in a parking lot at 2 a.m.s. Stop signing it away. They broke a man's leg and bought his name. They never reached the one room he kept locked from inside. That is the inheritance the slave left you. They can own your hours, your title, your body, but the thought you choose stays the one thing no one buys back. Decide one verdict today. They will never sign for you. Comment: I own my verdicts if that room is still yours.